Hello, good evening. Welcome to I'mPossible Conversation, the conversation where ordinary people share their extraordinary life journeys. Tonight, my guest is Phil Hulford. Hi, Phil.
Hi.
It's so lovely to have you here with us tonight. How are you
Thank you.
doing?
Thank you. It's good to be here. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much. Enjoying a bit of the spring that's starting to come out here in Brighton.
Oh, you're based in Brighton, aren't you?
Yeah, Brighton, south of England. We start to get the buds coming out now of the ground. All the little flowers are showing their faces.
Lovely. So, I'mPossible Conversation. Tonight it's all about you. When I asked you what's your favorite quote, you said, "Discipline is freedom." Can we?
Yeah,
Talk
if you want
about
to
that?
unpack that. Discipline is freedom. Yeah, so I guess the best way to unpack that for me would be to just tell you my story about how I learned that one. So I was a dancer for many years. I worked professionally for a contemporary dance company, and we toured around the UK and around Europe, and then it started to grow even more, and we went around the world. And it was very successful, and we worked a lot, and it was great. My body was healthy. I felt good. There came a time when I had to leave this company because there comes a time when we need to move on. And when I left, I didn't have any structure around me that the company used to put. So they used to put, we had physios, we had workouts, we had regular performances and dance classes together. So there was a structure. And when I left, all that structure that was for the company was gone, because then I was on my own, like a kid leaving the house and doesn't have the support of the parents. It's different. But anyway, I recognized that my body was filled with injuries that just kept getting worse because I didn't have a regular practice. And I started to get quite depressed and go into cycles of self-harm, but more like laziness, overeating, not sleeping enough, not looking after myself, drinking too much. Classic things of self-abuse to feel better. My injuries, of course, they got worse, and I wasn't getting any work. So I continued to get depressed until I looked at myself in the mirror at one point. There are some other stories thrown in there where I discovered some spiritual aspect, and I was fasting, I wasn't eating, and I found myself looking in the mirror and seeing this very skinny, very kind of excess body fat, but very skinny person looking at me, struggling to do 5 to 10 push-ups. And I just thought, that's not an athlete. How am I a physical performer? And that was the moment for me that goes, okay, I need to make a lifestyle shift. And that's when I started to get disciplined with movement practice. So in the beginning, it started with just workouts. But what I started to notice over a long time of just putting in consistent work, disciplining my body to work for me, was that I started to gain this wonderful freedom to express in my movement, to bring emotion into my acting, into my performance. And I started to recognize that if I just inject some attention, some quality love in this part of my life, then I can buy myself a whole load of freedom, and I'm not injured anymore. I don't really get injured anymore, which is wonderful to say.
We've got Tove here. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, so that's where discipline comes from.
For me, yeah, it comes because I really know now that when I discipline it's easy to see with the body because it shows you very clearly what we're disciplined with. Yeah, and the discipline is really important to me because it buys me that freedom afterwards. It's not about the hard work, actually. It's about what it buys me after. The freedom to move my body how I want to.
Yeah. So you've been a performer and professional dancer and toured around the world.
Yeah.
If I ask you what's the success to you, what your answer would be?
What does success mean to me now?
Yeah.
This has changed for me, for sure. It used to be success was about being known, being seen, fame, in other words, or money. That could have been success to me. But it's definitely changed. Over time, it's become much more simple. We were speaking backstage about being simple. And to me, it's health. To me, that is the ultimate form of success. It's health. To be healthy in my relationship with my mind, with my body, with my spirit. That's success. If I'm healthy in the way that I speak to myself, then that's going to empower me to continue making good decisions and continue growing. But it's not successful to me if I beat myself up and worry all the time. And yeah, I just think it's important for me to say that success means to be healthy.
Yeah. So you just mentioned a few bits about body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
When did you start your spiritual journey and how it's going now so far?
Lovely question. I grew up Christian, so that I was always in a spiritual environment. My family were really intense, really intense, evangelical Christians. And, we'd regularly go out onto the streets and, pray for people and preach on the streets. And it was quite hardcore, quite intense. And so this was all I knew when I grew up till about 12 or 13. And then I started, secondary school, and I started to recognize, there's more than just this in Christian life. And so I would say I was birthed into understand there's another realm we can't understand all the time. But then when I became a teenager, I was like, you know what, that's not for me. I'm going to go and smoke weed and drink and party and enjoy all the things you're not supposed to as a good Christian boy. But I had a bit of a wrestle with it, as I think many teenagers will probably reject what their parents gave them for a while and then sort of come back to it somehow. And I had this bouncing relationship with Christianity where I would come to it and see some real beautiful wisdom, gold moments and try to implement them in my life. But it just felt so impractical sometimes when I would read the Bible, because it would be quite mystical language and it's quite difficult to understand. So I kind of got lazy with that, and I just thought, I'm just going to experience. And then I had this, going back into my story where I was in this cycle of depression because I was injured, I started to feel like I needed more. Like there's something deeper than I know. And I knew it lay somewhere in the spirit. And there was this one moment, and this was the moment that I think you're asking about. What was the moment which like awoke you to spiritual life? And it was this moment, which I'm about to tell you. I was very depressed. On my own, I got offered a job in LA, and I flew over there, and I was completely jet lagged, going to sleep in this tiny little shed of a room that I had next to the beach, which was amazing, but just tiny. It's just a bed and me. And I remember having this deep moment where I just typed into Google mind-body connection. I want to know more. And this guy called Wim Hof, who probably many of you have heard of by now, came up. And he has this breathing exercise, which is, breathe deep and let it go. Breathe deep and let it go. And I had this real silent moment in my bedroom where I recognized that there was life, almost like a god or an entity or a spirit or something was watching me or was with me or somehow was me, but was not judging me. Like was just there, happy to spend time with me, whether I'm doing things that I should or shouldn't be doing. And I felt almost like a very pure grace and acceptance for myself. And it was just me, lying down on this bed in this very meditative state. And that was it. That got me curious about breathwork. And breathwork has every day since then, which was about 4 years ago, led me into a deeper hunger to develop spiritually. That's how it started. And now it's very open. You ask, where's my spirit life at now? It's very open. I don't like to put boxes on things because it's just, a box is just language. When we say God or we say the Tao or we say, Buddha, it's very, it's just language. It's just a name. And so now I very much feel as though we have our own experience to live. And it's important that we don't squash other people, but it's important as well that we are allowed to say what we want to about it.
Excellent answer. Have you ever experienced kind of a heightened awareness?
Yeah. In the sea, in the cold. I do daily swimming in the sea because I live just 10 minutes from the sea. So I get on my bike or I run down there every morning. And the heightened awareness is coming about 3 minutes after I get in the cold water. Because the 3 minutes until that moment, it's not very nice. It's cold, it's uncomfortable, it's itchy, it's painful, it stings. You don't want to be there. You have to focus on your breath. There's just so much stress. But then after 3 minutes, it's about 3 minutes, this deep peace comes, a bit similar to what I was explaining about my spiritual experience. This peace comes, you start to feel a bit warm, you laugh, laughter comes very easily. And this, very, very heightened awareness. When I exit the water, I can almost feel my skin. Like if something would come close to my skin, I would feel it long before it came close to me. Like there's a very, very physical
sensation,
sensitivity for me. Yeah, at least that's what my heightened awareness physically.
What's the temperature like in the morning, like when you go to the sea water?
Now I would say it's probably about 6 or 7 degrees, something like that.
How long do you stay in for?
Anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, I've been watching a few of your videos, and it's not just you. There are a group of people.
Yeah.
Does that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing to see, actually, all through the winter. The wind, like freezing cold. People really cold, and just look down the beach and you see groups of 2, 3, 4 people just getting in the water, coming out again, laughing, go in the water and come out laughing. It's great.
That's amazing. Yeah. Our Tove says, love meditation and breath work. Yes to this all, and all of it, language indeed. So would you prefer meditation or breath work? Because I remember we talked about it before.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I would answer breathwork straight away. Because all the meditation, at least that I've experienced, there's always some breath in it. Listen to the breath or focus on the breath first, and then it takes you into this space. But for me, when I focus on the breath for a longer period, it takes me easier into a meditative place. If I think about meditation, I won't do it. But if I breathe, I'll do it because it's an action. I think everyone will approach meditation differently. But for me, I was a kind of an undiagnosed ADD character. My brain works wants to process things fast, and it's very, very hard for me to just sit there and be in meditation. So the breath work really helps me to just calm down the breath, calm down the mind. Sorry, just be here.
Mm-hmm.
And often after 15 minutes of breath work, I can sit in meditation for half an hour, 40 minutes, no problem. I never get to because my kids come and interrupt or interact with me. But breathwork, I would go to breathwork straight away.
Breathwork straight away. And just feels you are quite calm person, aren't you? Or not, generally? Or is it all the breathwork and then exercises you've been doing? Is it helping, or are you
it
generally
helps.
calm person?
No, it helps. Definitely helps.
Mm-hmm.
I've grown more calm over the years. I used to be a very angry person, very angry. I think going back to the discipline is freedom, that helps to recognize that as well. So back then I was talking about discipline in my body gives me the freedom to express. But if I have discipline in other things, like my nutrition, I'm going to have a bit more energy. It'll give me the freedom of energy. If I have discipline with my sleep, then it will give me more energy as well. If I have discipline with playing with my kids, really like playing with them, then they will feel loved. So they probably won't grab me all the time asking me. So there's these all these different areas that we can have discipline. And I think the discipline with the breath work, with the cold, with the exercise, with everything really, when we fulfill those little promises that we make to ourselves every day, you feel there's a sense of growth and a sense of fulfillment because you're doing active things. And I know that it helps not just me, it helps my children when I play with them. It helps my wife when I clean the house and I have discipline. And I'm not always perfect. I make mistakes, but my point is that it adds to my calm that I know that I'm working on myself.
Yeah, we all are. When you talk about discipline, what do you think of willpower?
Willpower. Like the difference between willpower and
because discipline it's quite hardcore, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. It can feel hardcore, and I used to feel like that as well. Like, discipline, must do it, even if I don't feel like doing it. But actually, I started to think about discipline being, if you have a big job interview tomorrow, it's not so like you need to prepare and go to bed if you want to get the job. Like, it's more likely you're going to get the job if you're prepared. And so it's not like that hard to go to bed early because you really want that thing. You want that job, or you want that whatever it is. So I put myself into that thing that I want. Say if it's the body, I want this kind of body. So then to discipline myself to work is less hard, and it's less strict and beating because I enjoy that thing that I'm going towards.
So
I feel like willpower, perspective. Willpower is a bit like pushing, and discipline could be almost like you have this beautiful, exciting vision that pulls you. That it's a bit easier because it pulls you. It's exciting. Otherwise, you're just pushing through all the crap days that are hard.
Yeah, to say it's quite in the mind. I find it this is so equally used to like identify if there's also props have ADD. Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. So your passion for movement, and you do this capoeira,
Yeah.
how to
Capoeira.
pronounce it?
Good.
Yeah,
That's
capoeira,
it.
parkour, and freediving. And how do you find it? It is getting out of your comfort type of exercise, or do you enjoy it? How do you push yourself to limit and get out of your comfort zone? Because when you have that flexibility, like physically active, in that way, if you want to get out of your comfort zone, what would you do?
Are you talking physically? When I physically want to
Yeah,
get out?
probably physically. Let's talk about physically, yeah.
Okay. So I used to approach this in a very macho, alpha male, yang, fire kind of way, and just force my body until it does what I want it to do. That's not sustainable. You're going to break, and I broke, and I injured myself, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So to get out of my comfort zone, actually, it's the opposite. I slow down. Now I slow down. When it comes to physically, we talk, okay? I slow down. If I want more flexibility, I'll relax into it. I'll breathe more. I'll become very, very accepting of where I am right now. I will not push myself actually out of my comfort zone fast. So I think it's important that when you go out of your comfort zone, you don't just go out really, really quickly. You can kind of step out, like with a stretch. So I'll slowly eke into a place which is a bit uncomfortable and just breathe there for a few minutes. And then maybe go a little bit more and then breathe. And that's a very simple example. So actually, I won't push anymore myself out of my comfort zone. I'll just press. Each day, I will just press the limit. And the thing is, when you're pressing every day, you grow quite quickly. But if you press really hard once every 2 weeks, you're not going to do anything. So I take this process to going out of my comfort zone as well. Just step a little bit out of my comfort zone, one step at a time.
It is very gentle approach, isn't it?
It must be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd break. We're too used to having something right now. Amazon and Netflix and all these things. We have access to things that we want right now. But skills, they don't come right now. It's not the Matrix that you can just call and someone and go, oh, can I fly a helicopter? And yes, now you can fly a helicopter. You have to learn things, and they take time, and you have to remind your body that you can get stronger, and it takes time. We forget that.
Yeah. And I'm thinking the parkour and cold immersion and free diving, some people would say they are quite adrenaline rushing type of sports.
Yeah.
But if I ask you what's the craziest thing you've done in your life, how can it should top them? Like what could it be? Because I feel like you're already doing all this amazing stuff.
Yeah. I guess adrenaline junkie parkour. Yeah, I can see why people would want to. It's easy to see that. And in some ways, they're probably right. The people who say that it's an adrenaline-seeking thing, but actually, adrenaline when you're somewhere where you could potentially die in an environment you could die, like climbing a tall building without a rope or diving in the ocean. Or I don't have a lot of experience with diving in the ocean, so I won't talk too much about that. But doing something that you could really get hurt from or die, it puts you in a zone of flow, because if you make a mistake, it's very costly. and you get into this very calm, very peaceful, meditative state. So it's actually the opposite of seeking adrenaline. Adrenaline is like the kind of last burst of energy for survival, right? And you sort of tap into that, but in a very, very calm way, in a very aware way. And so that's definitely something I seek when I go for parkour or even movement, even dance. It's not dangerous, but I'm looking for that place of my brain shuts off and I can just feel. I can feel my body and feel the space and the movement and or the rock or the jump or the water, whatever I'm doing. That's actually what I'm looking for that calm. Yeah, that's addictive.
So, yeah, sounds like you are always at present.
I'm aiming for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being aware of what you're doing. Yeah.
Yes.
So, what's the craziest thing you've ever done in your life?
This is probably going to surprise some people, but it's not a stunt. It's not a physical stunt. It's I invested some of my money into Bitcoin to see if I could get it, like just invest it and leave it for a year with someone to see if they could multiply it. And they multiplied it, but they ended up basically scamming me and stealing £9,000 from me over time. So that was the craziest thing I did, invest in something without properly doing my research. I think that's more crazy than jumping off a building.
Well, I was hoping you've climbed the world's tallest building with a rope. Yeah.
No.
So what things do you do every day to stay focused? What's your daily routine like?
Yeah. I wake up about 5:30 in the morning. I get on a mat and I'll either do some stretching and then I'll do some breath work, or I'll just go straight into some breath work and I'll just be there for 40 minutes or so, just being alone. Just that really, really sets my day. On top of that, I'll do some a gratitude practice. This has probably been the most beneficial thing for my life right now, being grateful. Just it's any stupid thing, thank you for this pen that works today, that I don't need to get up, anything. But I start to feel very grateful and I write these things down and I set my intention for the day, my goals, what I want to achieve. That's it. That's how I begin the day. Then I go to the sea. That's really important for me, to get in the cold and have a nice swim and then come back. So that's exercise. Like I'm doing exercise as well, first thing. A few things that I do to connect with focus are, breathwork. Breathwork is definitely one of the biggest ones, as well as writing down like the top 3 things that I want to do today. Because sometimes when you write a list of 50 things, you're just not going to do any of them because it's too overwhelming. But I like to write down like the top 3 that like I really want to do that today. Sometimes they're very simple. They will be play and laugh with my children. That will be one thing that I'll schedule for my day. But it helps me to stay focused. The other thing might be, I don't know, talk with Suki and prepare a questionnaire for one of my clients, something like that. So there'll be very, very small things, but there might be 10 of those tiny little things. And I just circle the top 3. This keeps me really, really focused. 9 times out of 10, I'll do all 10 of those things and then 2 or 3 more because I just said to myself, I just have to do those 3. That's it. And some days I just do those 3 and I say, well done, you did them. It keeps me very, very focused because my brain goes, yeah, I can handle that small thing right now.
Yeah. So yeah, the movement. I've watched a few of your videos, and then you had the very small stick and the plane, the creature movement.
Yeah.
What is it about?
Yeah. So you've heard of the movie Planet of the Apes?
Yes. Uh-huh.
They invented these amazing
gorillas.
Yeah. They invented actually I have one here.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you not knowing what she's talking about these. These are like a crutch that I made from one of my injuries. When I went to the hospital, I broke something and they gave me those. And in the first lockdown, I thought to myself, I can cut them and make what they made for Planet of the Apes, which is these short stilt things. So you can walk like a gorilla or a chimpanzee much more comfortably. And they had all the, the motion capture dots where they captured their movements and then put them into the computer to make the characters for the film. And so I do some of that work myself, but I made those so that I could practice on my own and just have kind of unlimited access to them so that I could have some fun. And I've been challenging myself to kind of create different movement creatures and explore different physicalities for creature work for movies, and that's why I have the sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk about, because you help people to find this mind, body, and spirit connection, in what your trainings include? Is it more dance work? Is it brief work? Or how does it work?
Yeah. It's a really good question. This is actually one of my favorite things because everybody's different. Just like nutrition is not going to work the same for everybody, training is not going to be the same for everybody. Someone might need different kinds of breath work. So what I like to do is get to know someone through conversations. Mm-hmm. So I start having conversations with them and I start to understand about what it is they want to achieve with their mind, their body, and their spirit. And then just try to understand what direction they need to take. If they want to get strong physically, then I'll make their physical training lead them in that path. If they want to dance more, then I will help them to do that. So it's quite open to how I train with someone, but I like to keep it simple that every day I like to schedule something for their mind, their body, and their spirit. And that could be reading books. I have a lot of mental training tasks like journaling, gratitude writing, like daily planners, stuff like this. I have things that can help people to get more organized in their thoughts. And with their bodies, yes, sometimes it's dance, sometimes it's capoeira, sometimes it's parkour training or running or just moving meditations. And then the spirit work is all breath. It will be guided breath work or just suggested breath work for them. Yeah. But ultimately, people
Hello? Hello? Oh, I think the connection's a little bit. Hi, Phil. Hello? Hello.
Hi.
Can
We're
you hear
back.
me?
I can hear you, yes.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all? Hello, check, check.
Right, we'll just wait a little bit. I'm sure Phil's going to.
Can you
Hello?
hear me now? Hello, check, check. Can you hear me?
Hi, right. Okay, is it working now, yeah?
It is, but we have quite a big delay.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear that too. It is. Right, it's interesting. Hello? Yes, I can. But it's really delayed.
Delayed. That's unmanageably delayed.
Oh, actually, Toe says it's freezing a lot. For Phil, connection must be poor. Right, okay. Right. Yes,
I don't know if
definitely.
you guys
Okay.
can hear me or not. I'm having some real bad internet issues.
Let me